Hello, everyone. Welcome back from Christmas break and a Happy New Year. We're happy to be back here with the Philosophy Jerks, and we recorded a new episode. But before this episode gets rolling, I just want to give you a quick warning that the Skype decided to give us problems as we were recording. Sadly, we were not in the same studio. So if you can just bear with us through the intro gets a little choppy with that Skype garble sound. But if you hang with us, by the time you get to the beer review, everything's smooth sailing. So here's to the Philosophy Jerks in 2016. Thanks for listening.
From the land of the million, it's the Philosophy Jerks.
Welcome, everyone. This is the Philosophy Jerks, episode number 32. I am Brian, joined as always by
the lovely Josh.
And together we are the cure for the common conversation. Josh, our holiday hiatus is over. It's been a while. You know, when we go on a holiday hiatus, it's a real hiatus. I haven't really talked to you much in the past 2 to 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, it's been about that long. As you know quite well, Brian, the Steam Winter Sale hit. And I think we both got some good games out of that deal. So I don't know about you, but I went head diving to Pillars of Eternity and a couple other games over the last couple weeks. It's been kind of weird.
Pillars of Eternity, I'm not familiar with that game.
It's a spiritual continuation of Baldur's Gate and those types of games from back in the 90s. Like D&D RPG games. Well,
in the late 90s, I was still kind of sucked into the sports and action games, so I didn't really play a lot of the I didn't play Baldur's Gate or the Diablo games until much later.
Well, that's really a sad thing for you, Brian. I'm sorry.
Well, I know it's unfortunate, but you know, I got the best of all worlds, so no regrets now, Josh.
Well, it's good you have no regrets, Brian, but I have to say that Pillars of Eternity game has been quite the treat for me. It's an interesting RPG. Because you can build your own party or you can find other people in the wild, just like normal RPGs. But the cool thing is these characters will interact with each other and not just you. And so you'll have kind of this whole group dichotomy going all on its own. And what I've noticed is I've been playing 2 games in parallel. One is a mage and one is a barbarian. And what I've known about my party is based on the choices and whatnot that I, the player, make in the game, it will kind of determine how the party itself interacts with each other. So
nice.
Yeah, it's really cool. So in one game, my priest is more apt to heal the party rather than herself, because in that character, I'm much more of a passionate and caring kind of guy. On the other game, however, I just kind of destroy everything, kill anything. I'm always a dick when I'm talking to people in towns. And because of that, my healer on that game only heals herself. I should say she heals herself first and then everybody else. So it's really cool how that works out. It's been quite the fun playthrough.
That's nice. I love that games continue on this morality. This morality quest. Let's go with the RPG theme, where more and more the decisions you make in a game affect how the game plays and the ultimate outcome of the ending.
Well, it's the ultimate goal of any video game, right? It's to build a complete universe or at least a complete world that you can go into free of, life-ending consequences, but you can kind of shape the reality otherwise. And, setting up these big moral systems and, cause and effect type things based on the choices you make are only taking us closer and closer to that goal.
Exactly. And speaking of that, and speaking of RPGs on top of it, with Star Wars fever hitting over Christmas break, I finally got around to playing Knights of the Old Republic, and I finished it, Josh. And something rare happened to me in an RPG game where finishing the game as evil. I finished the game as an evil Sith character, which usually doesn't happen. I usually like kind of playing the hero, but not this time. Not this time. I ended up with a double-bladed red lightsaber, and I forcefully took over the galaxy.
See, that's the way you do it. I've always maintained that if you're going to play a game that allows you to do good or do evil, and there's no real, penalty for choosing one over the other, why would you pick anything but evil? It's a video game. You're escaping your normal day. Why would you continue to be who you are in reality in a video game if you had a choice?
Well, because I like to play the hero.
Hero.
Normally.
You're still stuck in a weird Joseph Campbell cycle thing. I
Kind
love
of,
anti-heroes
yes.
and villains and all that good stuff.
Oh, no, I love a good villain. Don't get me wrong. I just like to play the hero.
I see.
What else, Josh? What else did we do in our almost 3-week hiatus here? I did go see what's the word I'm looking for? They approved the Philosophy Jerks, Kansas Bible Company, the band. I went and saw them live. That was a good time.
I bet it was. They have a great live energy. I'm very jealous you got to see them.
Yeah, their live shows are more fun than listening to the albums. I don't want to dog on them, but they have like 14 members in the band. So in a small venue, talk about a wall of sound. I had the ear ringing the next day. I haven't had that in a while.
Well, speaking of extra things that we've dug over the break, I did get around to seeing The Hateful Eight, and I must say I saw it in 70 millimeter. My, oh my, what a treat that movie is.
Oh, okay. I saw it too. See, I didn't know that you saw this movie. Exclusive. Visually, I loved it. You know what? I felt the same way about this movie that I did about Inglourious Bastards, from my personal opinion, where acted really well, and I didn't regret going, but I didn't love it as much as his other movies.
Well, that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and say it was the best film of the year or even Quentin Tarantino's best movie. But I loved the dialogue. I loved that the characters were so obvious, yet they weren't necessarily cliched. Rather, one aspect of the movie that was extremely well done was the fact that it was a Western set in the Wyoming snow. It was very, very interesting, especially in 70 millimeter, to have that pacing and the feel and almost the look of a Western movie, but there's just, snow everywhere. So much snow that all the characters get trapped in a cabin.
Yeah, I did like that. The atmosphere, every time that they would get inside the cabin to escape the snow, I could almost feel it when they would drink a hot cup of coffee. I'm like, oh, give me that cup of coffee. I almost feel cold myself.
I know, right? It was a very well done movie. But again, I agree. It wasn't Quentin Tarantino's best movie. Definitely wasn't his worst, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I paid a little bit of extra to see it in 70 millimeter.
So, Josh, I think we could talk about our 3 weeks forever, but what are we going to be talking about this episode?
Well, Brian, this episode, I thought we'd go down a little bit more of an esoteric alley and bring up the good old topic of imposter syndrome.
Yes, the imposter syndrome. We'll get into it a little bit further, but to whet your appetite a little bit, it's basically feeling that you don't deserve something, even though you probably do, and then you actually did work for it. Simple way of putting it. So, but we'll get into it a little bit more after this very special thing that we do every episode.
You're not talking about the root beer review, are you?
You know what? I actually am talking about a little bit of a root beer review.
Oh boy, I'm excited.
Beer, 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 I'm going for a beer. Beer, 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 I'm gonna drink some beer. I like drinking beer. Lovely, lovely beer. Beer, 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 I'm going
Okay,
for a beer.
not just beer review, root beer review. We teased that a little bit, Josh. What are we drinking?
Well, Brian, this episode we are drinking none other than Not Your Father's root beer.
Yes, now this is a big thing right now. Everyone's talking about Not Your Father's root beer. Basically, it's just alcoholic root beer. Is that the best way to put it?
That's exactly the best way to put it. It's root beer that is your classic dark vanilla root beer, but apparently it has 5.9% alcohol inside of it.
Yeah, it does. And funny enough, I went to the website to look up a description for this, and they're claiming that it's 10%. We can't figure out where this disconnect is coming from, because the label looks the same on the website, the description's the same, but they're saying that it's 10%.
Yeah, I don't know.
But everywhere else, everywhere else on the bottle, on beeradvocate.com, it's all saying 5.9. I don't know what's going on here.
Maybe it's a sales pitch or something, or maybe they have a special reserve that's 10%.
You would think, but it's even on the. I don't know. I'm calling them out. I'm calling out small town brewery here. On your website, you're claiming 10%, but everywhere else it says 5.9. Even on your bottles, it says 5.9%.
Yeah, it is a very concerning. Small town, if you see Brian tweet about this, can you let us know what's up with that?
Yes, I will. I am going to. I might just take this all the way to Consumers Affairs, Josh.
Fucking Better Business Bureau, bitch.
We're coming for you. All right. Well, this is important for us because the 6% is our threshold.
Yeah.
So,
And
I mean, it's 5.9. It might as well be 6, but it's going to make a difference here.
Well, Brian, as you so love to put, there are rules that keep society in place, and we're gonna have to abide by the rule of 6%, not 5.9 or not 5.8, but 6. So officially,
6.
according to the bottle, 5.9% alcohol by volume falls 0.1% under our threshold of 6% alcohol.
Hey, it's numbers and they matter. All right, here is the description. We'll take out where they claim 10%, but here's the rest of the description. It says Kovac, I don't know who that is, but Kovac passed down his family beer making tradition by working tirelessly while his son to craft the first version of Not Your Father's root beer. The silky, smooth, and satisfying finish is unmatched in flavor. It appeals to the craft beer aficionados as well as those who typically don't drink beer but crave something unique. And then they say 10%, which we've gone over. But
that's a goddamn lie. It is not 10%.
So we still know what that's about. But, well, anyways, let's just take a drink. Let's see if this does indeed taste like root beer, Josh.
Let's do it. Wow.
Yeah.
That tastes just like root beer.
There's not as much alcohol, like taste or flavor to this as I thought there might be.
Yeah, there isn't. One thing I was worried about, I don't know if you've ever had like a Mike's Hard Lemonade or something like that. But with the Mike's, there's like this heartburn, instant heartburn I get when I drink it. And I attribute it to the kind of alcohol that's in there.
Well, that and just excess amounts of sugar.
Yeah, exactly. And I really thought that this Not Your Father's root beer had a strong possibility of falling in that overly sugary camp of beers. But no, I mean, it's definitely sweet like a root beer typically is. But it doesn't have that bite, that heartburn, or that like, ugh.
It doesn't, no. One thing I will say, it's a little bit sweeter than I think maybe most root beers you'd be used to, but it still does taste like root beer.
Very much so. If you've ever had Barq's root beer, it tastes just like that.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. Yes, it kind of does. I don't know. I'm kind of worried. I think I'm surprised the Parents' Council hasn't come down on this yet, saying that it's too much like soda pop.
Well, it's a new era, Brian. I think that they're worried about 5-year-olds injecting heroin into their toe veins more than they are root beer.
Oh, speaking of that, I'm going to throw this out right now. Have you heard of a farm party?
No, and do I want to know what this is?
It's going to slightly terrify you. So I didn't know either, and so I had a moment of, oh my God, I'm getting old. I don't know what this means. So a farm party is where kids will get together and they will bring their pharmaceuticals and they'll put them in a bowl and everyone just tries each other's pharmaceuticals.
Wow.
I know. It's terrifying.
It's terrifying, but holy shit, that takes some courage, man. Not knowing what kind of pharmaceuticals you're taking.
No kidding. My God. You damn whippersnappers.
Hey, you like to live on the edge. You wait till the sun comes out and pushes you over.
Just stick to root beer with alcohol in it. Jeez.
I feel so inadequate. When I was their age, I was sneaking wine coolers and cigarettes, and I thought I was, doomed to hell and breaking the law like a criminal. God damn.
I might just get a little sip of Zima. Now they're all taking God knows what pill.
Well, Brian, let's not stray too far. Let's take one more swig here and give our final verdict on Not Your Father's root beer.
All right, here we go. Okay, so It's not quite 6%. There are rules. Okay, it's 5.9. It's not 6. But if you like root beer, and I do like root beer from time to time, I got to give this a thumbs up. I don't think I could drink a few of these in a sitting, maybe just one or two, and switch back to real beer. But I'm going to go thumbs up. I like it.
Well, Brian, I share your sentiment exactly. In that I don't think I could drink more than 2 of these at once. Or back-to-back, rather, instead of at once. I'm not double-fisting these or anything.
I was going to say, wow, Josh likes his root beer.
However, as a delicacy craft beer, something that I might pull out for a fun way to entertain guests or something, or if I just wanted a nice treat after dinner, I would definitely grab one of these. It is only 5.9, so it's just under our threshold for badass craft beers. But the flavor more than makes up for that, and again, if you like root beer and you have not tried this, you need to. It is quite good. And, I mean, the fact that it doesn't have that bite is what's making me love this. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a thumbs up as well. I feel good about that. Although, like you, I wouldn't drink this, every night or even more than 2 at once.
No, I wouldn't bring this to every party, but, pull one out, impress some people.
Just my kids' birthday parties. That's where I'm taking this to.
Bring it to your next farm party.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that is 2 thumbs up for Small Town Breweries, Not Your Father's Root Beer. Stay with us after the break. We're going to be talking about the Imposter Syndrome.
Beer, 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 I'm going for a beer. Beer, 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 I'm gonna drink some beer. I like drinking beer. Lovely, lovely beer. Beer, 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 I'm going for a beer. Beer, beer, beer.
Hey, Josh, I'm looking at this website.
It's not pouring, is it?
No, Josh, it's not porn. It's philosophyjerks.com.
The thinking man's pouring.
I'll be grazing by your window. Please come pat me on the head. Just wanna find out what you're nice to me for. When I look up, don't think I don't know about all the scabs you dread. It's hard to stomach the gore. I know you don't have the patience to peel them off no more. In a jar where
All right, welcome back. So as we hinted at earlier, we're going to be talking about, I guess maybe a phenomenon called imposter syndrome.
That's exactly what it is, Brian. It's a psychological phenomenon, believe it or not. Do you have the definition right in front of you? Should we stop and define our terms?
I think we do need to stop and
Define the
Imposter syndrome is a term coined in the 1970s by psychologists and researchers to informally describe people who are unable to internalize their accomplishments. Despite external evidence of their competence, those exhibiting the syndrome remain convinced that they are frauds and do not deserve the success they have achieved. And then it goes on to say that imposter syndrome is particularly common among high-achieving women, and although some studies indicate that both genders may be affected in equal numbers. So, to sum that up, Josh, it's basically saying that you never feel that you deserve the accomplishments that you achieve.
Hey, it's really weird. I believe that theory came out in the late 70s, 78 if my research was accurate. And it just seems weird that it took us until 1978 in our timeline before we had a name for that kind of phenomenon. I don't think it's reasonable to believe that something like this didn't exist before the 70s. But I do find it fascinating that now we have a term for it. We have ways to overcome it, and why it's even a bad thing to begin with. What do you think about the whole idea of imposter syndrome, Brian?
Well, one thing I did find interesting about this, in our reading about this beforehand, was that it's not actually perceived to be a mental disorder. So it's not a mental illness, or it's not like an ingrained kind of personality trait. It's more like we said already. It's a phenomenon that happens, and I, I don't know. I mean, when I think about it, I think all of us have kind of dealt with that feeling before, right? Like, I mean, I know I have when there's something that I've achieved or I've won, and maybe I feel like I didn't do enough to accomplish it. I know I've had that feeling a few times.
I definitely have, especially in situations like during work. Someone will come up and say, "Hey, Josh, great job on that project," and immediately I just want to deflect that compliment and say, "No, it was a team effort," or "Oh, it was easier than it looked," or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that that's a pretty common phenomenon among a lot of people. I've
Well,
heard.
that's kind of sorry to cut you off, but that's kind of like a trait of being humble, right? Like you just said, like you want to deflect it towards a team, and I think that's a trait that we kind of covet as a society. Where if someone's not too into themselves, this might be where this kind of stems from, right? Anything that you've done with a team, if you're the leader of the team, you get all the credit, or if you fail, you get all the you get all the backlash for it failing. But there's that notion that you want to be like, no, it wasn't just me; it was the team I did it with.
Absolutely,
Which we look highly upon.
We sure do. I think you nailed the hammer on the nail with the idea that you're equating this to being humble. For me personally, other than it being pathological, I have a hard time telling the difference between imposter syndrome and just being a humble person. I think the only thing that would be different would be if you were suffering, quote unquote, suffering from imposter syndrome, you would be pathological in your inability to, accept a compliment and always want to deflect it off, either on a team or a circumstance or what have you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, as a society, we kind of look down on someone that's too braggadocious, let's say, the person that just wants all the praise for themselves. That's usually looked down upon.
Well, is it though?
So
I mean, when I was a teenager or even young or older in my 20s, it used to be cool if someone was good enough at whatever they were doing, whether it be singing or being a philosopher or a politician or anything. If you were so good, I remember my peers saying, okay, if you're that good, you have a certain like buffer zone of being cocky and not being humble. Because, hey, if you're the best, you get to wear the gold collar and strut around the house naked or whatever.
Right.
So I do think that while, in the best of light or even over average, our culture tends to like humbleness. I do think that it would be unreasonable to say that that's like the only factor in what we look for or like about people. I do think there is room to be not humble. If a guy went and mined out an entire gold vein in California by himself, damn right. I mean, I would come out there as a cock of the walk. I just mined all that gold by myself.
Sure, and then now it's all mine. Yeah, you can think of examples of this in a lot of forms, or sports stars or entertainers. I mean, look at Kanye West. A lot of us will scoff at how cocky he is about himself, but at the same time, look how he's maintained his fame, doing exactly that, being overly confident in himself.
Well, when it comes to Kanye West specifically, I have to interject and say, Kanye West's career is built on being shocking and cocky. We don't want him to do that, but we also want to see him do that, free from the consequences or the awkwardness of being around that. Do you know what I mean? We want to see what would happen if what we say is not good, is real and is successful and but it's still cocky. We want to see that on our television. I mean, Kanye West, there's a reason why he remains relevant, and it's largely due to the fact that he knows how to engage his fan base and draw in new people by being shocking or cocky or just the way that he is.
Sure. So, yeah, I mean, for him, that works. It's like we said, though, that there's certain examples where maybe because it's so against the grain in Kanye's case where he's so anti being humble about something that's what keeps him interesting. But what I'm interested in, though, is where do you think this phenomenon comes from of people feeling like they're never good enough to receive praise for anything, or to themselves they internalize the idea that even if they worked, in the reading for this, it would say that even if someone's worked really hard and they do deserve what they work for, they still feel like maybe they're cheating people or they're just convincing people that they're more smart than they are. Where does this come from? Is it something within our culture, or do you think it's applies to human beings around the globe?
I definitely don't think it's going to apply to human beings around the globe, at least not on a large scale. Simply because this has to be cultural, right? This isn't due to any bad genetics. This isn't due to any sickness or disease or anything like that. This is just purely a psychological phenomenon that occurs under certain events and given certain circumstances. But to answer your question more directly, I think it has something along the lines of someone just not aware of where they rank among everybody else. And what I mean by that is, I'll give you an example. I'll use myself as an example. As everyone knows that's listening to the show, and you, of course, Brian, I'm fairly decent at computers. And you see, even that statement is should tell you where I'm going with this, right?
I was just thinking that, yeah.
I get around normal people that just use their iPhones and use their computers for games or whatever, surfing the internet, that kind of thing. I get around them, and it's very easy for me to forget how much I know about the computers as compared to them, simply because I don't like to go around and make a conversation awkward by being, the guy that knows everything and trying to be authoritarian in a conversation about the thing I'm good at. That's kind of my motivation, is so that it's just not awkward for me. But another thing is that there's no point of reference with your skill, right? It's just you internalizing your skill. What I mean by that is it's not like there's another person sitting directly beside you all day and night long every day that's doing the same thing you're doing and going, hey, look, you can do it better this way, or hey, you did a really good job there. And so,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So we get almost like dog blinders on, and we forget what we have to bring to the table, simply because it's always in front of us, it's always there, and it's been a gradual, slow increase in skill. So it makes it even more difficult to gauge where you are in the skill tree. And there also is some cultural pressure not to be, an arrogant asshole. No one wants to be like the farmer bro, right? So
exactly.
So there is an element to that. You'd be very unwise to think that plays no role in this. But I just don't think that necessarily is a driving factor when you consider, how we get horse blinders to begin with our skills and our abilities.
Yeah, it's a delicate line to walk, because I like this idea you're going on where there's not something to constantly remind you that you're good at something or you're doing something well. Eventually, it just becomes something that you just do normally. Like your computer example is a good one, right? Like, you're not going to put yourself in the category of the greatest computer minds that walk the planet, but to your average Joe that's using his computer or smartphone every day, Josh, I'm going to tell you right now, don't get imposter syndrome. You're better at it than the average Joe with a computer or a smartphone.
Well, it was a team effort, Brian, and I couldn't have done it alone. This really, I shouldn't take credit for this.
Right. It's something. Have you ever? Well, you already brought it up, but there's situations where someone will compliment you on something that you're just used to doing. And there's that moment where you kind of think to yourself, wow, am I actually really good at this compared to most people or not? I think we all kind of suffer from this imposter syndrome from time to time in our culture.
Well, I think, I definitely think that's true. But I really think that this whole imposter syndrome idea circles around the lack of information for a person to accurately judge their authority on a subject or a task or something. And I think that if we explore that a little bit more closely, I think we might get closer to why something like imposter syndrome even exists. But before we do that, Brian, what do you say we take a quick break, play some jams, and go take a beer run? I'm gonna get some real beer. I'm kind of done with this root beer thing.
Yeah, I'm kind of done with the root beer too. let's make our little run here, take a break, stick with us, and we'll continue this conversation on why you're not good enough on the philosophy jokes.
And you never will be.
It is possible to commit no mistakes and still lose. That is not a weakness. That is life.
Dude, you are so money, but you don't even know it. But you do.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
I did it!
Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Pretending that I'm doing well. My need is such, I pretend too much. I'm lonely, but no one can tell. Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender. Adrift in a world.
All right, welcome back. I have a real beer. I assume you do as well, Josh.
Oh, you know it.
And I am good enough. I am smart enough, and God darn it, people like me.
Well, not all people, Brian.
I know. Dang it, I'm an imposter.
A fraud.
So continuing this conversation, I like your idea that there's not a way to always rank yourself amongst others with things that you're good at. There's another thing that we haven't talked about too, and I've been kind of touching on it, is cultural. Without getting into a big historical episode here, there is this vein of, Christian. Okay, let's put this. I hate the term that we're a Christian nation, but there are tenets of Christianity that run throughout our culture, and one of those, I think, is this idea of humbleness, which Christianity preaches, right? Like, love your enemy, you're not above someone else, which, of course, they break all the time, but I think that kind of seeps into this idea of imposter culture, right? Like, you're not supposed to see yourselves above others. You're supposed to just work hard, do your job, be humble, and I think a lot of that seeps into this idea of imposter syndrome.
Well, Brian, I definitely think you're onto something. Although, me being me, I'm going to say it's something more than that. Although I have a hard time, disagreeing with your idea of Christian undertones kind of playing a role in that. But I want to be sure that my point of view is expressed clear here. In some far as when I think of someone that's going through an imposter syndrome scenario and they're being complimented. I don't think what's going on in their head is, yeah, I did do that, but I shouldn't take credit. I need to be humble. Instead, right. I think it's a legitimate first-person account or encounter of really honestly not thinking that you are worthy of the compliment for whatever reason. And to help illustrate what I'm getting at, there is almost the exact opposite kind of psychological phenomenon out there. And it's called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And what that is someone that is overly confident in their expertise and think that they can talk on subject matters that they actually know very little on.
We've all encountered this.
Every day. And I mean, think of like Jenny McCarthy. She is a model for Playboy and a TV personality. And she thinks she is even in the same league as people that devote their education and lives to studying, vaccinations and what it does on the body and yada, yada, yada. Yet somehow through this Dunning-Kruger effect, she seriously and honestly believes that she has something to bring to the table in the conversation because she's an expert on that element that she's bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. So, and what's really interesting is if you think about it, the natural byproduct of overcoming the imposter syndrome is a feedback loop that will lead you into the Dunning-Kruger effect. Well, everyone says I'm great and I'm so smart and I never deflect these compliments. So, hey, look at this. I bet I can talk about how, blueberry muffins should be baked, even though I'm a computer engineer. Or, how to get to the moon and back. I can figure that out. I can do anything. I'm the greatest.
Well, I think everyone suffers that when it comes to politics, too.
Oh, definitely.
I always say, can you name your local mayor? If you can't, then shut up about national politics.
Right.
What do I care what your opinion is on it?
Absolutely. And so I don't know. And going back to my original idea here is you can start to see the notion of the conscious psychological brain on autopilot. And I think that when it's on autopilot, you have occurrences like the imposter syndrome or the Dunning-Kruger effect, where the brain is not really, it's engaged, it's aware, it's active, and it's there, but it's not really in the full control that the best that you can be in. And the way I kind of compare and contrast this idea is playing a soccer game with your buddies and on the same field, in a separate game, playing a tournament game that counts for something. 9 times out of 10 in the tournament game, you're going to be way more focused, even though you're doing the same activity with relatively the same types of people when you play your friends. It's just you're more relaxed because of the notions. And typically when you get compliments, you're not ready for them. You're not prepared for them. Very rarely are we in a situation where we have to get up in front of everybody and listen to everybody compliment us, like an award ceremony or something. Usually it's offhanded, it's out of nowhere. And when that happens, it more resembles playing soccer with your friends and less resembles playing soccer in a tournament.
Yeah, you're right. And so would you say that the ultimate conclusion here of imposter syndrome is just it's a byproduct of doing something every day? I don't even want to say every day, but just doing things kind of on a mental autopilot, and then you might even get really good at something too, right? Your computer example is the best one, right? I mean, you work with computers every day, even at work or in your free time. So to you, it's just kind of like a thing you do. But when someone compliments you or says, "Oh my God, you're really good at this," there's a part in your brain that's like, "Yeah, I might be good, but I'm not as good as." Forgive me, Josh. I don't know. Bill Gates is the only example I can think of. Right? I'm not Bill Gates. I'm not sitting on billions of dollars because I invented something new with how computers work.
The fact that you think Bill Gates would be a computer hero of mine disappoints me.
I don't think he's – no. Don't get me wrong. I don't think he's a hero of yours. I'm just thinking of a grand example.
Uh-huh.
I'm just going to take a drink of beer here and step back and let you finish this one out.
Yeah, you remind me of Steve Jobs right now. He's full of shit.
All right, Josh. Well, I mean, as far as imposter syndrome goes, like we said, it's not a mental disorder. So if it's something that you're suffering from or you're dealing with, it's something that you can definitely break out of the loop.
Definitely. Now, I don't want to be dismissive of imposter syndrome because there are people out there, I'm sure, that quote unquote suffer from this syndrome in a more frequent and deeper way than we're kind of describing here. And for those types of people, Brian's right. There are ways to get out of this. You're not doomed to feel that way or go through life that way. You can start by being honest with the situation, stopping, really listening and really being honest with what you know and what you know you've done. And start to kind of warm up to the idea that, hey, I don't have to take credit all the time, but sometimes I can take credit, and then that will kind of lead you to get to a place, hopefully, where you're, in a homeostasis with your psychology, and less, approaching the Dunning-Kruger effect where you think you know it all. There's definitely limits to how many compliments you can take and what they mean to you. But I definitely think it's important to know when you deserve to be complimented and when to be humble.
Well, Josh, I'm here to tell you right now that you are better than me at computers. How's that? It's a leveled praise there.
Yeah, after your Bill Gates comment, I have no problem accepting that compliment from you.
All right. All right. Anything else you want to add here on imposter syndrome?
I don't. I think it's a fascinating hiccup in our normally everyday brain, and it's just something that was fascinating for me when I was researching. There are a lot of other, by the way, there are a lot of other psychological hiccups, if you will, out there, and I encourage everybody to just kind of start with the imposter syndrome and the Dunning-Kruger effect, and just keep going, and maybe you'll learn something about yourself you never knew. Before I started this research, Brian, I don't know about you, but I kept thinking of example after example where I was, going through the imposter syndrome. So that was kind of fun to kind of be able to relate myself to my research.
I mean, I think anyone that self-examines themselves enough has gone through the imposter syndrome loop way too many times.
Yeah, true, but if you give it a name, then you can kill it.
Exactly. I think that's the healthy thing to do, right? Read about some of these things and you realize that you're not so weird compared to everyone else. I think we all deal with these similar kind of mental hiccups and issues. That doesn't make you it doesn't make you doomed, and it doesn't make you worse or better than anyone else.
Yeah.
Look at that. I'm keeping the humbleness.
Look at that. You're so fucking humble.
All right. Stick with us. Speaking of humble, Josh, our old friend sent us a long Q&A, and we're going to have to get to that.
Yes, Brian, so long that I think it'll be the only Q&A question we do this episode.
I think it is. We're going to have to devote this one to one superfan, James M. Powers. So if you're into that, stick with us. We'll be back with Q&A.
Oh, yeah.
I found my fill on Blueberry Hill. On Blueberry Hill. When I found you, the moon stood still on Blueberry Hill and lingered until my dreams came true. The wind in the willow played love's sweet melody, but all those vows we made.
This is Luke Yoder from Kansas Bible Company, and you are listening to Philosophy Jerks.
I'm just waiting for the Sunday mail.
When you control the mail, you control information.
Okay, welcome back. Now, you might be wondering, what was that I was just listening to? Josh, you sent this to me, and I can't get it out of my head now, and I keep laughing. Why don't you explain to everyone what that song was?
Well, Brian, that is none other than our Lord and Savior, Vladimir Putin, over in Russia, doing his rendition of, I believe it was called Blueberry Hill.
Is it that, or is it? I don't know.
Yeah,
I found my freedom.
It was Blueberry Hill. That's the name of the song. And what struck me the most about it is, and the way I think it ties in with this whole imposter syndrome topic, is to realize that Vladimir Putin in 2010 singing a rendition of Blueberry Hill for a children's charity benefit concert. And when you think of Vladimir
Putin,
how gracious, right? Very gracious.
Yeah.
But when you think of Vladimir Putin, his reputation the world over, you definitely can't help but feel that at some level he's faking it. He's being an imposter when he's up there singing.
That's a prerequisite for being a politician, is having is living the imposter syndrome. Are you kidding me?
See, the only thing that concert was missing was a sweet sax solo from none other than Bill Clinton.
That would have been great. While George Bush paints pictures over in the corner. All right. Okay. So It's Q&A time, Josh, and we're going to just stick to one. Our good friend and show superfan, James M. Powers, really spilled his soul to us with this question, and I feel bad because he sent us this before Christmas, but, we were on our holiday hiatus, as I like to say. But I saved it because it's too good not to go over. So, as everyone knows, if you've been listening to the show for a while, James likes to send us long kind of, would you say, stream of consciousness ideas?
Very convoluted. His stream of consciousness is fascinating, and it reminds me of a traffic jam, but where the cars aren't stopped, they're just kind of going really slow.
Right.
And they diverge off in all these different roads. It's fun. You should just read the damn question, because I think that will speak for itself.
All right, here we go. From James Powers. He sent this to us, and it says, "What's new, Brian and Josh? Nothing new on my end. The end of last week was interesting, though. Thursday, I went to a holiday party at a liquor store," which I find... I've never gone to a party at a liquor store.
Oh, you haven't lived yet, Brian.
I guess so. He says, "It was a holiday party for the place I go to speech therapy, the American Institute for Stuttering." Now, I've tried to get James to record something for us before, but I can understand he's a little gun shy if he deals with stuttering. So, as I just stuttered through that. So he says, "Going to a party at a liquor store was something I never did before. Unfortunately, all they were serving was beer and wine." Well, what did you expect they were going to serve?
Liquor, maybe? I think he has a point. If I went to a liquor store and they were only serving beer and wine and no liquor, I would ask questions.
Okay, that's a good point. All right. He said, "I had the beer. It was it was an IPA. I don't remember the name. I wish they served liquor." See, there you go, Josh.
Boom.
"I wanted Jack and Coke all night." I do like Jack and Coke, so good on you for that one, James. "Or any other whiskey." Hey, he's a whiskey fan, just like us.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time calling Jack Daniels whiskey, but I see where he's going, and good for him if he found something he loves.
He continues, "If I don't see what kind of whiskey they have, I ask for Jack. I'm pretty sure every bar has Jack Daniels, at least here in the U.S. All right.
James is trying to be worldly right now. Let's give him some credit. He's thinking outside of our geographic location.
Good on him. All right. So I hung out with people from speech therapy for a few hours. We were going bowling in January. So I wonder if he's gone on that bowling trip yet, as it is now January. That's not a party, though. It's just a get-together. Well, what's the difference? What's the difference between a party and a get-together? I'm curious.
Maybe a party has a higher rate of strangers than a get-together might.
Okay. You expect alcohol at a party and maybe not so much at a get-together?
Yeah, that would be fair. Maybe dinner at a get-together, but no dinner at a party.
All right. Okay. Oh, boy. Here we go. He continues. "They do get-togethers every now and then. I suck at bowling, though, so I'll probably hang by the bar all night drinking Jack and Coke."
Way to bring it full circle, James. That's brilliant.
All right. "I got home and probably less than an hour later, I read that Scott Weiland died." Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Oh, yeah.
He says, "I was a big Stone Temple Pilots fan back in the day. Brian and Ohio Josh will probably hate me for saying this, but I always preferred Stone Temple Pilots over Nirvana."
That's a good boy, James. I'm right there with you.
Oh, we'll save it. Right. "I knew who Stone Temple Pilots were before I knew who Nirvana was. I'm not saying Nirvana sucks, because they don't. I just prefer Stone Temple Pilots. Unfortunately, I never went to see them. I really wish I did. Never got to see Velvet Revolver either." Well, that's fine. You didn't miss anything there, James. "Friday, I went to a wedding." Oh, my God. He just had an action-packed week here, Josh.
Back to back. What if he drank Jack and Coke at the wedding?
Let's see. I don't know. It's been a while since I read this email. I can't remember. Okay, so Friday I went to a wedding. One of the guys that I grew up with got married. I had a really good time. I got to hang out with family and friends. I don't go out often, as you can probably tell by my Facebook posts.
Oh, James, we can tell. We can tell.
Okay, so it was something out of the ordinary for me. This time I got to have Jack.
Yes. Oh, brilliant. Bloody brilliant.
Okay. This time I got to have Jack and Cokes. Don't remember how many I had, though. It was a fun night. You must have had a lot. I rarely get invited to weddings, so I was happy to go. Geez, there we go. James doing the imposter syndrome. Okay, now he says, my question this week. Now we're into his question. Do either of you guys' parents not like your beards? For some reason, my dad hates my beard. I don't know why. He told me on Thanksgiving that it looks like shit.
Oh, goddamn. Happy holidays,
James,
son.
your
It
beard
looks like
looks like
shit.
Okay. I'm trying to grow a mustache now, but it's taking forever to grow. Why does my mustache take longer to grow than my beard? Ugh. That's the end of the email, Josh. There was the stream of consciousness from James.
That was 8 minutes of you reading a letter for him to ask us if our parents approve or disapprove of our facial hair. What the hell did I just hear?
All right.
Well, James,
All right,
I'll
so
start here. I'm 32-year-old male that works full time. I'm a grown ass man, and I've had a beard the last 10, 15 years of my life. I don't know what my parents think because I don't ask them.
You don't give a shit, right?
I could care less what they think about my facial hair. I'm my own person.
I pay my own bills. I don't give a shit what you think, Dad. I don't know. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't really care if they like it. I mean, at this point, yeah, I'm 32. I don't give a shit if they like it or not. I do recall my mom saying that she did like it. So there you go. I think she does like the beard.
Well,
they like the beard more than they used to like my long hair that I used to have, Josh.
Oh, I'm sure. Long hair screams no job.
Okay.
Well, there's one thing I want to pass on to James here. Once in a great while, the universe will line up in such a way that I can say a small tidbit of knowledge, kind of like a fun fact, and actually have it be relevant to the conversation. James,
there you go.
Next time your father gives you shit about your facial hair, kindly remind him that beards were all the rage up until soldiers started coming home from World War I and II. After World War I and II, it became all the vogue to be clean cut and shaven. However, the reason why our soldiers were coming home clean cut had more to do with the gas mask fitting over their face and less to do with army and whatnot policy. So the fact that everyone is clean shaving is nothing but a reminder to everybody that the horrors of trench warfare and gas warfare during World War I and some of II. So to me, having a clean-shaven face is not only not the norm, because it was a beard all the way up till then, but the reason why we have clean-shaven faces as more of a fashion trend is kind of horrible. It's kind of like people shaving their eyebrows to remind everybody that there were people that jumped out of the windows during 9/11.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Right.
It makes zero sense.
That's fascinating you say that. I feel like for so long we've been culturally attached to the World War I and II era, and I feel like just now in this new millennium we're slowly starting to climb out of that like the cultural things of the quote unquote greatest generation is the way to do things. Because you look at Civil War photos, I mean, it was a sign of manliness to have not just a beard but a big beard.
Yeah, and that was what 60, 50 years before World War I. So it was like a light switch. It was like, okay, now you come home, you're clean shaven. That's the thing.
Well, look at that. After all that, we had a nice little nice little thought about beard fashions and manliness.
There you go, James. So you can shove that down your dad's throat and tell him to shut up and go take a nap.
All right. So that's definitely all we have time for with the mail this week. Josh, what music was played on this show? I shouldn't have said that because the first song I'm going to say was a song called In a Jar by Dinosaur Jr. I'm sure some of you know Dinosaur Jr. I've been wanting to get one of their songs on the show for a long time. And did you know, Josh, that Jay Masix of Giant Sword Jr. is turning 60?
Holy shit, 60. Wow. That means I'm almost 35. Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I will say about Dinosaur Jr. that they're definitely one of the greatest guitar-based bands of our generation. Nothing gets better than putting an album of theirs on and having a couple of beers.
And deal with it. If you listen to our show, you're never going to fully escape the 90s.
Nope. Unfortunately, Brian's hell-bent and never leaving that decade, and I'm chained next to him. So here we go. 90s forever.
All right, what was next?
The next song we heard was an oldie but a goodie. It's called The Great Pretender by none other than the Platters. I'm sure someone's heard this song before in Fallout or something like it. Great song. I thought it fit the topic quite well.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, who hasn't listened to an oldie station at least once in their life?
Exactly. And of course, the last song we heard was none other than Vladdy Putin singing a interesting but not horrible cover of Blueberry Hill.
Yeah, I mean, we said all we can say about that, but oh boy, Putin. I almost wish he would have sang it with his shirt off.
And wrestling a bear.
Okay, Josh, I think that's going to do it. I do have some good news. The next episode, I will be... Maybe you'll come here, but I got a feeling I'll probably be headed down to the Think and Drink Studios.
Brian, you've known me for a decade, and it shows.
Well, I do expect beer when I get there.
Oh,
if I'm going to make the trip.
There'll be good beer.
So not only will I be coming to Think and Drink Studios for the episode, it is also Royal Rumble weekend. So there could be all sorts of things that could happen that weekend. Or, who knows, we might just play City Skyline till 4 in the morning again.
Fucking episode.
So get ready for that. In 2 weeks, we're going to have an in-studio episode. That should be a good time. Past that, Josh, there's always the stuff to whore out. Why don't you start us out?
Okay, well, my pants are down, my hands are on my ankles, and I am going to say check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Google Plus if you're feeling interesting. Of course, all our latest episodes are on iTunes, Stitcher, Speaker, iHeartRadio, YouTube. Brian, I understand you have some beer reviews that you place up on YouTube recently, which is great.
Yes, I have been doing that. I think I've gotten to, the 20th one, so I'm only 12 behind now. So.
Way to pull through. That's awesome. I'll get them up on the website as soon as I can.
All right.
And speaking of the website, you can find everything, past episodes, beer reviews, blog posts, and more at philosophyjerks.com.
That is philosophyjerks.com. I just wanted to reiterate that. I got nothing else to say, Josh.
Well, in that case, we'll check everybody out later in 2 weeks. And Brian, I hope you stay warm and we talk a little bit more than we have been.
All right. Sounds good to me. And don't worry, we will, because I'll be seeing you in person in 2 weeks, Josh.
Oh, boy.
All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We will see you again in 2 weeks. Don't stop thinking.
Bye, everybody.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.